Collectible price appreciation happens in pockets, man. It really doesn't happen all at once. It's like popping popcorn, man. If you've ever made popcorn in your life, it all doesn't just pop at the same time. It takes a time, and things pop randomly all throughout the freaking bowl until you have a full bowl of popcorn. And I really wanted to dive deep into this, man, because I've been trying to wrap my brain around it for the last 6 months, and I watched a couple really big-brained videos from the Unhinged Magi, and Dan and Edwin have really good points, man. I'll put those videos down below. And they talk about inflation, a couple other things, but it's really just opportunities in the secondary market that you see for different things that pop at different times. And I want to stress in the beginning, before I get into this topic, is that I am not a financial advisor. This is not investment advice. I'm just doing this for entertainment, man. I'm drinking a lot of coffee. I'm having fun. I'm showing you all my shit that I purchased. But at the end of the day, entertainment, not giving you advice here. Just telling you what I see. And let me give you an example of what I'm talking about with collectible price appreciation happening in pockets, right? Now, when you think about these items, so you have the Ira Welcome deck. Let's say that this is around $50 at this time. Let's say that this Crucible of War box is worth $100 at this time. And let's say, I don't know, bulk unlimited, bulk ARC cards are worth maybe $1, right? Well, these three items, right? What determines that they go up in price? And the thing that I will tell you that doesn't happen is that when it becomes a new year, when it goes from 2021, from 2022, there's not this consortium of collectors that say, hey, it's 2022. Let's make everything increase more with inflation and just things should be worth more because time has transpired. Let's increase everything by 5% across the board. Increase. So this $100 box, there's $105 now. It's year 2022. This dollar stack of ARC bulk, well, this is now $1.05 because everything has to increase. Same with this Ira Welcome deck. This is now worth $50, and whatever 5% of $50 is probably 25 cents if I'm doing math on the spot. But that's my main point, is all of these items don't increase steadily over time in a synchronous way, especially with everything else, like with sealed product of first edition or other limited boxes or wrappers or Rudy's promotional card or anything like this, or the starter bricks. These things don't appreciate in price synchronously. It pops like popcorn, man. If you have this whole popcorn maker and you hit the on button, certain things pop faster than others. Take note. Let's say Ira Welcome deck. Let's hypothetically say that some man makes a video about this. And hypothetically, this deck goes from $50 to $200 overnight on eBay. Well, that popped. It's a popcorn that popped. And of course, this thing, even after that news, might go down to maybe 100 or retrace to 75, but it popped faster than all the other collectibles. Now, the point, and what's really important to note, is you might say, well, Bronson, that's obvious, man. Certain things get hyped faster and they go up. What's your point? Well, my point is this, is that if you are diversified in a market, like a lot of people are in Flesh and Blood, and you have this and it pops, you sell it, and then you can buy two of these for $100 each, right? If you sell it at $200. I don't know, it just hypothetically. And then let's say you sold this, you get two of these, and this, well, let's say hypothetically, an out of print announcement happens. So your $50 here went to 100, or what went to 200, I said. So 50, 200, you sold this, you bought two of these for 200, right? We start at $50. This goes to 150. You sell both of their boxes, you get $300, and then you buy, not bulk, because that's not a good idea. Let's say you buy these starter bricks, and for $300, you buy 6 of them. So do you see what you've done here? If you buy 6 of these that are $50 each, and then let's say they go up to $100 each, and then you have $600, right? You started with 50 here, went to 200, sold it because you knew that it didn't make sense according to other things in the secondary market for Flesh and Blood. You purchased the Crucible War boxes, it went up, You sold, you got into this, and it popped. And that's kind of the whole point I'm trying to make here, is that people who are a lot better at analyzing collectible markets than I are good at really going around in the market, realizing the popcorn that pops, figuring out how to move things from one thing to the other, and figuring out what really to go around into. And this happens in other aspects in life, man. I mean, if you look at this is just a microcosm of flesh and blood, but let's peer out for a moment. Let's look at the world at hand, right? Well, you have different types of things with inflation that affect different markets at certain times. For instance, in 2021, the lumber costs went skyrocketing. You know, they went up like 100% or 150%. The price of lumber increased drastically. Well, that caused inflation for other things after that. I mean, the price of oil and the price of oil then affects other things. But the point that I'm sorely kind of trying to go around here is inflation doesn't happen all at once. It's not like you say it's 2022, everything out there needs to increase 10%. The price of milk went from $3 to $3.30. The price of lumber goes from $100 to $110. It doesn't work like that. It hits certain markets first, and then it goes into others. And it's really harder on a macro level to really kind of do that and push things around. But I feel like a lot of people do, you know? And at the heart of it, you might say, well, Bronson, isn't this just buy low and sell high? Yeah, it kind of is, man. It's really figuring out what is high, selling it, and getting low. And I think that that's kind of what trading card games are, man. You're trying to sell things and build up a better collection that you have, and that's kind of the primary way of doing it that I see and that I've seen in different examples. Like I think Dan recently, he from the Unhinged Magi, he sold like 30 graded cards for like a 9.5 or a 9.0 power card. I forgot which power card. Escapes me now. But long story short, he sold 40 or 30 or 40 common cards for a power 9 card in Unlimited, which is insane. And you really wonder with this, is that same thing going to happen with like Ira starter decks? Our Ira starter decks going to go from like $50, you know, and then it's gonna go up to like $200, and then if these are $200 each, then you're like, wait a minute, I can let's say that these are $200 each and it holds, and hypothetically, these are all hypothetical situations. I'm not saying anything specific, but let's say it goes to $200 a piece, and you have 6 of these, right? Well, that's $250 that goes up to what? You know, the 200 times the 6 is 1,200. Well, that can probably buy a cold foil alpha card. And it's only a matter of time before people realize that. And they're like, wait a minute, why do 6 of these equals a cold foil alpha card that's probably like 1 in 800? That doesn't make sense to me. And then that's when other things in the secondary market of flesh and blood and other markets start to pop after that. It's when people have these, you know, mind break situations where they think, wait a minute, why are common cards, if I sell like 10 commons or 30 commons for a legendary card, you know, why wouldn't I want to do this trade? And that's when the legendary card goes up. And basically what I'm trying to say is that all the collectibles in the market, so the whole market for flesh and blood, let me do the analogy, is the whole pot of kernels. Each kernel in the pot of the popcorn maker is different collectibles. Like this is a kernel, this is a kernel, this is a kernel, this is like a half of a kernel. You know, you have all these different kernels that are in the pot. And as time goes on, certain kernels pop at different points in time. And figuring out which one pop at a different time is very interesting to me. Because at the end of the day, all the popcorn pops up. It goes from lower to higher over time. But what happens first and what happens in what order is a really cool thing to analyze, because then you can find little gaps in the market. And I don't want to say it's arbitrage, but it's just, advantageous situations, I will say. And I mean, at the heart of it too, another key concept is diversification and having positions in things before they pop. Because if you look at the popcorn example, right? Once the popcorn pops, you're done. You missed the boat. You cannot capitalize on that opportunity anymore. It is gone. So it's really advantageous to have a bunch of different things, a bunch of different collectibles, a bunch of different methods, and maybe just not in Flesh and Blood, maybe other different TCGs in the free trendies era that we're in, and waiting until they pop and do those types of things. What I'm saying is, you have to be in them initially, pre-popping, in order to really capitalize on things. And diversification is really key. And not only diversifying, but realizing the market you're in and what type of situations are occurring and if things are popping at certain times and capitalizing on this. I mean, this happens in stock markets, this happens in cryptocurrencies, it happens in a lot of situations. And again, this is not investment advice. This is just me just trying to use my brain and increasing the amount of wrinkles in it because, oh man, it's just fascinating to me. And I really want to end on some really kind of interesting thing that I've been trying to think of with this situation is that when you have these types of things, these kernels in a popcorn thing and everything, right? How do you analyze it? How? And I think what you have to do, or what you would really, I wouldn't say have to do, because I'm not giving you advice here, but to really analyze it and to try to see what doesn't make sense in the market, right? If an IRA starter deck is 200 and that doesn't make sense comparative to, other cold foil alpha cards, or, if certain things are overpriced or underpriced, because that's the whole thing of it, man, And that's the whole underpriced, overpriced type of thing in the secondary market when people talk about it. It's like, hey, is this an uncooked popcorn kernel? Or has this popped way out of the frickin' popcorn maker? And the way to do that, I would imagine, is establish ratios. Establish formulas that really just derive things, the costs of collectibles to other things. And to give an example, so the Heart of Fandale and the Alpha Welcome to Wrath box, I think it would really have to derive there. And what you do is say, well, a Welcome to Wrath Alpha box should always be worth, let's pick an arbitrary amount, 50% more than an Arcane Rising booster box, first edition. So let's say an Arcane Rising booster box was worth $2,000, an Alpha Welcome to Wrath booster box sealed would be worth $3,000 because it's 50% more. And then from that price point, okay, well, if a Alpha Welcome to Wrath booster box is $3,000, then a Heart of Fandale, if you do the calculations and everything, let's say it should be worth like $40,000 from that point. And you find out the ratios between these numbers. And I'm not sure what the ratio is between 40,000 and 3,000. It's been a long video, man. But long story short, you'd have all these ratios and say, like, let's say Crucible War. And let's say Crucible War first edition, well, that didn't have, it doubled in print run. So maybe that's 50% less than an Arcane Rising booster box. So it should be worth $1,000. And I think other people have said this types of things in the past. But when analyzing markets, I think that is the key thing. And what I mean is when you do that type of ratio down from the Heart of Fandale to the Welcome to Wrath booster box to the Arcane Rising to Crucible War, and then from there you go to the singles prices and you figure out the ratios and you go all the way down. And what someone could do, not me, and this is not advice, you could do that. You could really map it all out in Excel and say, hey, these are the price points now, and here's the ratios for everything. And then in maybe 3 months time, you do the same data. You compile the price of all the different collectibles, all the kernels, and you compare them from like a 3 month period, quarter over quarter, and you say, hey, what things have increased by certain percentages, and what has really popped and what hasn't. And that's kind of an interesting thing, and I think that's how you would really analyze this thing overall. Because I think the biggest question people have is, what is the unpopped popcorn? what hasn't popped off yet? What is the price appreciation? How doth flesh and blood cards go up in price? And when and why and how and where is it in its price appreciation lifestyle? I think that is what people from the dawn of man, of collectibles, have really wondered. And that's the whole point of this whole thing is just figuring out different collectibles in the market that haven't popped. And I think big data and analytics would give you a reasonable estimate. But at the end of the day, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if certain things are overpriced and underpriced, and the thing is, like, there's a lot of other factors that I'm not explaining here, like different supply, different provenance. Is the market completely wrong on a collectible now, and in the future it gets corrected, and once it's corrected, there's no opportunity? Has the price of that collectible gone up way too much? Is the product like the IRA welcome deck, where there's no mystery, there's no gambler's premium in here, and that's what you have to add to the ratio as well? Is there a gambling aspect to this, and have the single prices from that gambling aspect gone up in price? There's so many different things to calculate. And I'm not saying it's a completely easy formula, because it really ain't. But I definitely think that there's different types of analytics that would find opportunities that you could go around and move things around in the collectible realm in order to increase your collection. So that's about it for this video. Let me know what you think, because it's a very interesting topic. And I don't know all the answers, man. I'm going down deep down the rabbit hole, and I've been trying to make different plays and trades and things around for myself, and I'm definitely not the best at doing so, but it just really, at the end of the day, it's fun. It's all in good fun. It's great to collect things and trade things and move things around and see how good you can do. So thanks for watching.